We do have a ton to get through in this episode.
Common sense is finally prevailing.
There was controversy this month, Dave.
I'm not particularly excited by that.
Secrets and things on set.
I haven't told them anything.
I think this is just good times all round.
Every Doctor Who is liked by somebody, and that's a really good thing.
Davo, my doctor.
I know we disagree on this one.
First world problems, Dave.
I get why fans are asking those questions.
Oh gosh, that's actually quite a lot to talk about.
It doesn't compute.
It's the elephant in the room.
That's okay.
Fandom versus the BBC.
The cardinal sin.
Moving along.
Lunch. Hello and welcome to the Doctor Who show for January 2023. I'm Dave.
I'm Richard.
And I'm Mark.
And once again, we are joined from our friends Richard from Spacefall and Mark from 42 to Doomsday. Thanks for coming along.
Thank you for having us again.
Yes.
We're going to do a couple of our usual summer games and have a bit of fun, a bit of a chat. But first, we actually have got a couple of news items to discuss. And gentlemen, I know you don't normally do news on your podcasts, but...
No, we're always late. It's been and gone.
But I will quickly get your thoughts on a couple of things that have dropped since the Doctor Who show's last episode.
Sure.
But thank you for coming along.
No, thank you.
Now, you probably have seen that Ncuti Gatwa's costume as the 15th Doctor dropped. What are you vibes on what I've termed a young Christopher Eccleston look?
Did you? Okay. Well, I thought when I first saw it, it was more like a Rupert the Bear look. And I think in our chat group, Dave, I think you sort of made a comment that it looked like something out of my 70s lounge or something like that. Look, it's very different.
It's very 70s.
It is very, it's very
orange.
Ron Burgundy, isn't it?
It is. Well, it's funny. I was thinking, growing up in the 70s, I remember we did have a house with brown walls and a bright orange bench top. So
It did. I did make the comment, yes, it does look like the colours of every piece of furniture in Melbourne in about 1980.
Yes.
I'm interested to see what happens when the cosplayers start to get into it.
Yeah. But I thought it was all right. I think, look
It's very Russell T Davies, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very... just enough of a Doctor vibe to get away with it, but very... you could wear this in normal civilization.
Yeah.
It's not an Edwardian frock coat.
No.
It's a more modern look, but he's keeping the tash.
Well, that was actually the big question I was going to ask. Is the tash staying or going? Because I saw some pictures with him without the tash. I was getting confused. Tash gate.
Okay.
So,
Well, I got the feeling that those videos that they circulated were them on set filming. So if he's filming with the moustache, I guess it's happening.
Yeah.
Well, this is the big thing to wait for. Will the 15th Doctor keep the mo?
Yeah.
I mean, they're obviously very excited and keen to be doing it, which is all good.
Yeah, that's good. No.
There's a lot of positivity around.
Yes.
I will note here that Rob, who is much more into costumes than I am, did immediately leap onto our YouTube feed and do a quick drop on his thoughts on the costume. So if you want something a bit more serious and in-depth, I recommend you check out Rob's comments on our YouTube feed.
Link in the show notes, people.
I think probably all that's missing really is the peak cap, I think.
Yeah. It also reminds me of Life on Mars. Extreme version of Sam Tyler's costume a bit.
Well, the revival of that 70s show is starting next month, so everything that's old is new again.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yes. So,
The other interesting piece of, in inverted commas, news that has dropped is a unconfirmed story in the Mirror has said that there are going to be 2 new Doctor Who animations and some recolorizations for the 60th anniversary. Now, as Rob did note on Twitter, the Mirror's drops have usually been reasonably spot on. Not always entirely accurate in terms of detail, but often they've been in the ballpark. So I guess there's some credibility, but none of the story has mentioned who's paying for them, who's doing it, who's making them.
No, it's just that new funding has become available, I think was the phrase I saw. But
Yeah.
Yes, so the 2 stories in question are The Smugglers and the remaining episodes of Underwater Menace. Any thoughts from you chaps?
I could see Underwater Menace, I guess, because, look, it only needs 2 episodes animated, so it probably is a bit of a no-brainer.
And the hardest one with all the fish people exist.
Yes.
And I was about to say, having said that, it is the Underwater Menace. So.
But it's less problematic than the Crusade. You know what I mean? So
well, that was the other point. Like, I don't know why the Smugglers so much, because, again, you would think the no-brainer would be the Crusade. But I guess, having just put out the Season 2 box set, it probably does look a little bit too...
money grabbing.
Oh, by the way, we've just released the 2 episodes. We didn't animate the box set separately.
The colorisation, though, they were going to colorise An Unearthly Child for the 50th, but the team who were supposed to be doing that were actually doing the Mind of Evil DVD at the time, so they couldn't actually do it. So a colorisation of one story would be Okay.
It's
Along
an
as
episode, isn't it? I don't think.
I thought it was a whole story. I don't know.
I thought it was just the episode.
Well, again, the specifics seem to be a little bit vague.
As long as it's not like a Ted Turner conveyor belt of strange hues going over black and white material
I was going to
like
say,
he did.
I was more thinking like those things. Remember those things you used to be able to buy for the TV back in the 70s?
In the 70s.
That had the coloured lines.
Or George M. Moroder's Metropolis. But, yeah, look, it'd be... I mean, why not? It closes out season 4, doesn't it, really? The Smugglers, and apart from the Highlanders. But maybe it's a ruse for something else, maybe. It just could be animations and quotes, and could be maybe the real deal. I don't know. I don't know.
Doctor Who's answer to Star Trek Prodigy?
It could be. Oh, God.
Well, it's interesting. It's one direction that Doctor Who's never really gone down, isn't it? Whereas Star Trek was doing it right back in the 70s.
It was actually, yes. Yes, it was actually. I haven't seen those Star Trek 70s cartoons for ages. Any good? No, not really. They're a bit shaky.
When they all dropped on Netflix, I did dip into a couple.
Yeah.
And that's all I felt I need to dip into.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, look, I remember enjoying them when I was younger. Watching them back as an adult, not so much.
No.
Yeah, look, I'm definitely interested if there are more animations. I've always said animations are a bit take it or leave it for me. I enjoy the audios, and for me they're kind of enough. But it's interesting to see them, and definitely introducing new fans to some of these stories that they otherwise wouldn't see is always positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But don't forget, the Moonbase animation is so good that some people don't even regard the story as being missing anymore.
Thank you, Ian Levine.
Thank you, Ian Levine, yes. But it's actually, do you know what was really good about this story? It was actually starting to get a bit of traction, a bit of positivity about the 60th anniversary coming up. So we saw the trailer for some of those specials that are happening, obviously, in November. Yeah, just to start getting that small ball rolling.
The bandwagon rolling.
Yeah, exactly. And not have sort of a late build that they did for the 50th, where like everything was sort of happening. It got announced in October, everything's on in November.
Well, indeed, all the sort of the really exciting lead-up stuff in the 50th was stuff outside of the BBC. It was the rediscovery of the episodes.
Yeah.
I remember we got very excited by the J&T book that came out.
Oh,
which
yes,
was just,
yes.
one of the best books we'd read about Doctor Who. So,
Yeah.
look, that'll be interesting. Look, anything they release, I'm interested to see. And, look, I don't feel like I need colorisations, but I'll have a look.
Exactly, and if you don't like it, just turn the colour down.
Well, look, I watch all the animations in black and white on Blu-ray.
Okay, yeah. Well, you're doing better than me though, Dave, because sometimes I just watch this photo reconstruction because they're so much better than what they've on some of the animations. But yeah.
Having done the news, we're going to dive into our podcast of decision.
Produce the bowl of Rassilon.
So our first segment is once again our traditional opening segment for the podcast of decision. Once again, we're going to do several rounds of drawing 4 items at a time from our bowl of Rassilon, and we have to get rid of 3 and keep 1. And once again, we each have a joker card we can play to keep something if we really can't bear to lose it. Mark, would you
I'm starting to get anxious again.
Mark, would you like to draw 4 items for round 1?
Absolutely.
Give it a good swish.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Swish, 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 swish. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'm closing my eyes. This is great radio.
4.
All right, 4. So I've got Kev McCulloch. Goodbye.
Kev the Hammer McCulloch.
Ambassadors of Death. Oh, here we go. More than 30 years in the TARDIS, Doco. Ooh. Kate Stewart. Oh, this is easy. Actually, no, not really, no. Okay. Right, well, first of all, Kate Stewart. Definitely goes bye-bye for me.
Why is that?
Not a fan.
Not a fan?
Not a fan. It's just there, just there. You know what I mean? There's no...
I've never really felt like she lived up to the potential.
Yeah, there's just... I don't know. It's just bland. She's really bland. And maybe she's wearing a moustache like her dad. It might be more interesting. I don't know. No, I just find the characterisation really bland.
Much the same. Look,
yeah.
compared to a couple of other choices there, I think I couldn't mount an argument for keeping her. So.
No, sorry, Kate. You're well into the shredder. Kev McCulloch. Well, it has been known that I'm not the biggest fan of Kev and his music. I think, as I mentioned before, Richard, which you reminded me was the Hammer, I call him. Look, he has done some nice pieces of music. Very, very small, though, particularly in remembrance of the Daleks. But everything else is very much orchestral stabs. It's dated. It hasn't dated very well at all.
It's really interesting when you watch Remembrance. There are moments there, as you say, of like really good compositions there, and then moments of just the drum machine.
Yeah,
It's really awkward.
bad. And Battlefield's is like, dun, and Silver Nemesis in particular, dun, 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 dun. It's just really, So, sorry, Kev, I know you're in Queensland at the moment, and I really hope that immigration works.
Sorry, Mark. For a moment there, I was having a flashback to Hitchhikers where they're talking about when Fort meets Hop Lectesiano. He's like, "What's that set? What's that song? The dun, dun."
Yes, that's my impression of it. So, sorry, Kev, you're. I know you're in Queensland at the moment, and I hope those papers for permanent residency have come through. But yes, goodbye, Kev, and his music.
Now, I'm going to say on More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS, the documentary from 1993.
Yeah.
Yep.
When we first saw that, particularly the extended version on the VHS, that was a huge deal, and it
Yes,
really
it
felt
was.
like a big celebration at the time.
Yeah.
It is very of its time, though.
Yes.
And a few years ago, I went back and watched it on DVD.
Yeah.
And it's nice, but it feels very dated now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was probably the note I had. I reckon I remember watching it at the time, and I watched it a few times at the time, but I would be struggling to come up with the time. I reckon I watched it probably in the last 25 years.
Yeah.
At least.
And look, seeing a lot of those people being interviewed was a bit of a novelty at the time, whereas now we've seen them all on making of docos, they've all done commentaries, we've seen things in a lot more detail. Again, the reconstructions of stuff like the set of Evil of the Daleks was really good, the Sontaran menacing Liz Sladen was really nice. Like, it's nice. I can see an argument for keeping it, but it is of its time.
It is, and to be honest with you, Ambassadors of Death have only just got in colour the last couple of years. There's no way we're putting that back in the bin. Because frankly, it's colour, it's Pertwee. If we lose that, then we're going to have a missing Pertwee. And frankly, it's...
And look, if you believe the director, it's the first instance of the whee!
Oh, yeah, and it's actually pretty good.
Closing
And
credits.
it's actually a really good story.
It's a fantastic story.
Yeah,
I've
it
got
is.
a lot of time for the Ambassadors of Death. I actually do agree this actually was an easy one.
Yeah. So,
Ambassadors of Death.
Ambassadors of Death it is.
All right.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Dave.
Into the furnace.
That was... I feel a bit better after that now.
All right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
All right.
Bowl of Rassilon.
Bowl of Rassilon.
1, 2,
For the viewers at home, Richard has his eyes closed and is reaching into the
3,
bowl.
4. All right. What do we got? Okay, round 2.
Yep.
We have Innes Lloyd.
Ooh.
Let's Kill Hitler. Well, that's an early
Right.
candidate for
For keeping?
Barry Letts.
Oh, that's cruel.
no.
Hey, mate, he did this.
Oh no, what's this one going to be? Tom Baker or something? Probably. Captain Jack.
Are we allowed to mention him anymore?
Well,
Well, it's the character, not the actor.
Oh, yes,
well,
okay,
that's
right.
true. Well, I'll start by saying Let's Kill Hitler was the episode that season that sort of broke me and was I don't want to watch this anymore.
Yeah, me
so I'm simply going to say, look, that's straight into the furnace as far as I'm concerned.
Going
I
to defend
agree.
it, Mark?
Mark,
No,
you
no,
want to play
no,
the
it's
Joker
a-
to keep that?
So,
No.
well, so what was it about it that broke you? Because look, I've spoken about it many times on the podcast, but Richard, what was it for you?
I've probably been on a downward spiral, I think, with Doctor Who.
Since 2006.
Probably for a fair bit of that season. It was just the whole setup. It's, you've got a time machine, I've got a gun, let's kill Hitler. That probably was like, oh dear. Then there was the whole bit where they locked Hitler in the cupboard, and then they're running around on the motorbikes, and then the Doctor gets poisoned, and then he decides to, he dances or whatever. And it was I just remember watching it. I don't know if I even finished it, to be honest. I just went through all that, and I just thought, this is just not anything I'm interested in watching. To be honest, I don't care about what's happening in this story, I'm turning that off.
Yeah, it was a waste of Earth's resources putting it together, to be honest. And as my Rob always said, you've got, Hitler, and you're locking him in a cupboard. Really, not that you could go too much with it in terms of story for a children's drama. But I just thought it was just awful. It's just nothing. It was just nothing.
Yeah,
and it's just rubbish. I just didn't like it.
It was.
All right, well, I think we're knocking out Let's Kill Hitler.
That's gone.
All
Yeah,
right.
goodbye.
My next one probably to talk about would be Captain Jack. Now, I would say, and look, we are talking about Captain Jack, the character,
Yes.
not the actor who portrays Captain Jack.
Yep, so we'll separate
Yes.
it off.
Look, when I first saw Captain Jack, I actually thought, look, okay, this is an okay character. He had a role and that sort of stuff. I do think it is probably a case of diminishing returns as he goes through. Having said that, he was very good in that fourth Torchwood one, The Children of Earth. I thought that probably was one of his better outings. To be honest, I don't have the same attachment to any of the new series companions or characters as I do to the classic series, so he would be on a disadvantage just to begin with.
And look, certainly I remember going back to 2005 when we saw him for the first time.
Yep.
I remember thinking this was a very different character. It was very innovative, it was clever, it was witty. Probably some of the most memorable lines and moments from that series come from Captain Jack. Now, it's helped by the fact he's in two really good stories.
Yes.
He's in that Empty Child and he's in Bad Wolf, which are both really, really good scripts. But he does get some of the best moments of them.
Yeah.
I initially was quite impressed that they had an openly gay character. Then I think that they kind of diminished that by making him omnisexual and doing the whole sort of, in the future everybody's really relaxed about it and it's human beings, male, female, alien, who cares? It's like, okay, well, you're kind of having your cake and eating it a bit there.
And then they made him the face of Bo.
As you say, look, I'm a big fan of Children of Earth. I think he does really, really well with that. He's an interesting character there. Look, I could make a case for keeping Captain Jack, except we've got Innes Lloyd and Barry Letts on the table.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not playing any Joker for Captain Jack whatsoever. Goodbye.
All right, so I think we're happy. So it brings us down to our last two, which is, Innes Lloyd and Barry Letts. Now, I would probably have to say my initial inclination would be Barry Letts. Would that be yours?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So, who wants to mount the defence for Innes Lloyd then?
I would say that Innes Lloyd played a very big role in establishing the show for its long-term survival.
Yeah.
I think that he's the one that really made the regeneration work, and particularly got Patrick Troughton launched well. I think that concept of Doctor Who is a show where you have the Doctor, a female companion, and monsters is something that he really set up and really got going.
It's a template, isn't it, really? He set that up.
He set up a template. Look, I love the Hartnell era because it's so different, because it's so innovative, but can you do that again and again and again? It's very hard. He really turned Doctor Who into something that you can make again and again and again, and it's exciting, and it's fun, and it may not be quite as in-depth as the Hartnell era, but you can do it continuously. Yeah. And there are some really good stories in there. Yeah. But
they're very samey.
Did Barry Letts do the same thing to an even bigger degree?
I mean, I know Derek Sherman gets a lot of the credit in terms of setting it up for the colour and that era.
But Barry Letts, the Doctor Who probably we know and love,
is more than him.
Is probably more the Barry Letts template or version of Doctor Who. Perhaps it's hard because without Innes Lloyd, there probably would be no Barry Letts.
That's right. But Barry Letts creates Joe Grant.
Yes,
he creates Unit. He does the Pertwee Doctor. He's the one that is able to take the BBC's growing budget from all the colour licenses and go, well, hang on, if your budget's increasing by 50% every year, so should mine.
Yep.
And
ratings.
Suddenly you've got a really expensive show.
Ratings, profile the program. Certainly, I mean, it helps also that the lead actor of Barry Letts' time was more into the promotion of the show, where Patrick Troughton was very reserved.
No.
Mainly because of his situation. But yes, look, I think with Letts, the success of the show, and then of course he cast Tom Baker. Arguably,
and Liz Sladen,
and Liz Sladen too. Yeah. So arguably the biggest assets of the show going forward in the 70s. So
he directed some very good stories.
He did, exactly, and he wrote the Demons, which is pretty good. Time Monster, not so good, but there's also his ecological bent in those scripts, and also that philosophical bent as well. So you had the Mutants about racism, which hasn't been really tackled before. Green Death, ecology, where
the Buddhist theme.
So where Innes Lloyd is very template, Monster of the Week. At least with the Barry Letts era, it mixed it up a bit. Not always successfully, but at least they had a go.
I could see Innes Lloyd winning this if this was some other round.
Yeah.
But I can't put him above Barry Letts.
If Richard grabbed out Chris Chibnall, for example, it would have been a much easier conversation. But Richard, of course, went for the juggler. So
I did.
Yeah, well done, son.
So
are we knocking out Innes Lloyd?
Yes.
All right. So does anyone want to play a Joker to keep Innes Lloyd?
It's only round 2.
It is only
sorry,
round 2.
I'm keeping,
so we
I'm
might
keeping
need
Barry.
the Joker. Yes, get the
Yeah.
Joker up our sleeve
Yeah,
for a
I
bit
like
of
that.
Barry.
I may regret this. This may
Yep.
be the one that we
All
go
right.
through, but
And Barry
yeah,
wrote the Demons book too. That's really good.
it is.
Yes,
it is
he
really-
But then he wrote the Ghosts of N-Space, which isn't really good.
we won't talk
Yes,
about that.
No,
and
Canon Lanon.
all right. So
We'll keep Barry.
well, if we keep Barry, let's Innes.
Yeah.
Round 3. Fight. Hey, hey. All right. What
All
do we
right,
got?
this
What do we
round
got,
we
Dave?
have got Season 4,
Oh.
The Edge of Destruction,
Season 4's already been shredded, mate, so it's okay.
Benton,
Oh, Benton.
and all Douglas Adams stories.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, okay.
Well, let's start by identifying the Douglas Adams stories.
City of Death.
City of Death,
Pirate
classic.
Planet.
Classic. Pirate
Pirate
Planet,
Planet.
really good.
Classic. Shudder.
The 47 versions we now have. this lost story that now exists in more formats than any other.
Yes.
Yes,
That's
yes,
right.
for a lost story, yeah. I mean, City of Death is a much...
How do you throw out the City of Death?
You can't. I mean, it's much better than Edge of
Edge of
Destruction.
Destruction,
You know,
well,
I
it
mean,
is.
Edge of Destruction, isn't it? Really, it's
Like,
2
Edge of
episodes.
Destruction has to exist.
Yes.
The way they set up Doctor Who needed the Edge of Destruction as that third story to actually make everybody get on well enough you could now
Yes.
have
You
adventures
now go.
and actually turn them in.
Okay.
It's got that fantastic confrontation between Barbara
Yeah.
and the Doctor. I mean, that is one of the best written companion Doctor interactions of all time. It's also got Hartnell's slightly bizarrely directed monologue
Oh,
in
yes.
episode 2.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's an interesting performance, but it's very weird.
It's even weirder in Spanish.
You've got William Russell's stunned acting, which is just weird. Look. Again, I'm happy to talk up the Edge of Destruction, but
No.
is it City of Death?
No,
No, it's not.
No, it's Scissors of Death, but maybe not City of Death. So,
Oh, well done. Well done.
yeah, thank you. So, goodbye, Edge of Destruction. You're being
Yeah,
shredded
so we
again.
Now, as Mark said, season 4 has largely already been wiped out. So
But
We've got the 10th planet
we've
in
got
there.
the 10th planet in there. We've got a couple of episodes of the Moon Base, which, according to Ian, is all complete now.
yes,
And the Moonbase is a very good story.
It is a good story. You've got Evil Lord Daleks in there. Faceless Ones is in there. And it's obviously Patrick Troughton's first
Underwater
season.
Menace.
We've got Underwater Menace in there.
Highlanders is a good story.
Highlanders is good.
Macra-Terra's
Yeah,
underrated.
I don't like it, but that's okay. We all move on. But to get rid of City of Death, which is basically glorious,
We're ignoring fan favourite Mr. Benton.
there's a
here.
reason for that.
we're talking about Sergeant Benton,
Not
not
John
John
Levine.
Levine.
Okay.
Is Benton one of those characters you love when you're about 6, and as an adult you just don't quite love it as much?
In The Invasion, he was great.
Yep.
But then you keep thinking about the time Monster is wearing a nappy at the end. You go, I don't know. It's just.
He is one of those sort of reliable staples. I mean, he does go through 3 eras of the show.
He
He
does.
goes from
Yeah.
Corporal all the way to RSM.
Yeah.
When he's good, he's good. He does poison that guy in Ambassadors of Death because he's the only one who could be delivering the isotope.
Yeah. And he does make a very good Prime Lord. So,
He's
yeah.
very good as is it section leader Benton?
Yes.
Yes, he
he
is.
is
Yeah,
good as
he
that.
is actually.
But maybe we did
yeah.
more section leader and not Cuddly
Platoon
Benton.
underleader, I should say.
Yeah, platoon underleader. Leader. But to be honest, though, can I ask a really appalling question? If he wasn't in those stories, would he be missed?
If it was just random soldier of the week.
If it was Paul Darrow every week, we wouldn't be complaining, would
Well,
we?
if it had
But I'm just saying.
Captain Hawkins
No,
in
look,
it.
it's a good point you make because those stories aren't elevated by the fact that it's a regular
No.
character all the way through.
Yes.
But is he just playing the role of generic sergeant that the brigadier needs to tell to go and...
Make a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I personally wouldn't miss him if he was gone.
Would you have said the same thing when you were 10?
Oh no, I loved him when I was 10.
Yeah,
But
me too.
now I just go, oh, here we go again. Yeah. But I mean, he has got some moments of brilliance, but are they enough to save him from the shredding
But that's
machine?
the thing. Are those stories better because it's Benton?
No.
Or are those stories...
Look, apart from the great tackle he did in the Demons, at the end. No, I'll be quite happy to, get the
his expert marksmanship when
Yeah.
he's shooting
the Harrison Trace Shedder.
Yeah, the
Pull the lever.
The weather vane, yeah.
Yeah, put the lever. I'm happy for him to go. You guys, what do you think?
Yeah, look,
Yeah,
compared to the other things in the bracket,
yes.
These are hard.
I do love season 4. There's some really good stories. There's Power and Evil.
Yes, and that's the thing. You got to think about how many stories there. So it's 4, and there's a funny one.
I
There's
suppose
three and a bit.
you probably should add a qualifier on that. Is it season 4 as it stands now, or is it season...
Well, those that are on audio, the audio ceased to go, I guess.
Yeah, I think in terms of completeness, we haven't got much Patrick Troughton left anyway.
True.
To send them back to the shredder, the Pamela Nash Memorial Furnace, I think would be a travesty. So
Yes.
I think, unfortunately, Douglas Adams' stories, as it pains me to say, City of Death has to go. We can't have a Taliesin at reconstruction.
Can I hear a Joker walking towards this conversation pretty
Yes,
fast?
Richard's going to use his Joker.
I'm usually the one who saves mine, but you can use yours, Mark.
Do you know what? It's just gone Christmas, so feeling slightly generous. I'm going to save Douglas Adams.
All right,
Oh,
so
I wish I did, but you know what I mean. I'll tell the story, yes. Yeah.
So we'll put through season 4, and you're going to play your Joker and save all the Douglas Adams stories?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Even the 87 versions of Sharda.
Pirate Planet's really good too.
It is good, actually. Yes.
I like Pirate Planet.
Yeah. But City of Death, though, it's that show you could show the Watney, or sorry, the
not we.
the not we.
Yes,
and they'd love it.
It is a very good script.
Yeah, it is very, very good, and 16 million Brits can't be wrong.
Plus, you did add some of the best bits of some of those other season 17 stories.
Yes.
All right, look, I think that's a Joker well played. So, Mark,
Thank you.
you've used your Joker.
Thank you.
And we have saved season 4 and all Douglas Adams stories.
All right, Mark, we're back around. Here we go.
This is very stressful. 1, 2, 3, 4. Va bene! Okay, here we go. Oh, Jesus, Dave. Murray Gold! Goodbye! Or Mantovani Gold, as I call him. The Fifth Doctor.
Well,
Come on, Dave.
That's
Can I
just
use my
made for
Joker
Mark.
twice? I want to take back the Joker.
That's just made for Mark.
Oh, Curse of Fenric.
Oh,
Put these together.
go on, and
You drew them out.
I know. The last story of every Doctor.
oh my God.
Well,
10th Planet, Legopolis.
Well, 10th Planet,
End of Time,
War Games,
War Games,
Spiders,
Twice Upon a
Legopolis,
Time.
and
Caves.
Rosani,
Okay, let's just start with the easy ones first, shall we?
the ultimate foe.
Yeah, the time of the Doctor. Awful.
The telly movie.
Can we sort of split it to say that ticket there, every last story of every Doctor, classic and
Well, look, let's start with the easy one. I think there are
okay.
other rounds where, look, I could maybe make the case for Murray Gold. I know a lot of people love him. I'm not a fan. You're not a fan. You're not a fan.
I'm certainly not a fan of
So-
Nancy Varney Gold, so goodbye.
Look, let's just
Yeah.
not pretend. We'll
Yeah.
move on.
Anybody who does castrati music, my Facebook feed for some reason showed that last clip of the end of time when he's.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's awful. So saccharine. Awful. I don't want to go. Awful. Anyway, okay. The next one is either the Fifth Doctor, Curse of Fenric, and again this awful last ticket.
Story of every Doctor.
Okay.
Well, all right. So, where do you want to go?
All
Do you
right,
want to
so-
go and talk about Curse of Fenric?
Curse of Fenric. One of the highlights of the Seventh Doctor era.
One of the highlights of 1980s Doctor Who.
Correct.
Yes.
However, if you then delete the Fifth Doctor completely, we're not going to have his run. And there are some good stories in there, which also would negate that ticket there in terms of last story of
Rosani.
every Doctor. So,
I think the problem here is that Curse of Fenric is one story versus a Doctor and 13
Multiple
14
stories.
yes.
So, as much as I love it, and it is a very good story, I mean, remember when we all first saw that? And we just all thought as fans, Doctor Who is back.
It's back, yeah.
Yeah, well, because we all would have watched it sitting at the club that afternoon when they showed it at the Christmas party.
Yes.
And we also did that season 26 day, I think, didn't we? We did a massive season 26 day the year after it, Alexander.
No, I was going to say, first time I saw it was
Well, it might have been, yeah.
at the club Christmas,
Okay.
at the DWCV Christmas party.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mark, for getting us the tapes.
And when I watched that story, I do remember the scene where all the hemovores are walking out the ocean. I'm going, you're right, Dave. Doctor Who is back,
Yeah.
and it's absolutely chilling. You know what I mean? And it's just a shame it just was shot on videotape because it looks so 80s.
Videotape, yeah.
It does,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it would have been great on film, but it's a great story. But as you said, Dave, we're wiping out one Doctor out of existence as opposed to 4 episodes of very, 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 very good Doctor Who. Anybody want to play the Joker on the Curse of Fenric or save the Fifth Doctor?
Compared to the other two in the choices, look, again, there would be rounds, I think, if we pulled some of these other selections out where I think Curse of Fenric might have gone through, but compared to the other two choices, I couldn't put it above the other two choices.
Yeah, okay, so unfortunately, Curse of Fenric is going in the shredder. I'm assuming it's a TV version and not the extended cut, so I'm assuming we can keep that. We have the Fifth Doctor and the last story of every Doctor.
I'm going for the last story of every Doctor because there are some absolute belters in there. 10th Planet, great. War Games, classic. Planet of the Spiders, look, it's not a great story, but as a thematic end to the Doctor's era, it's a wonderful summation.
Yep.
I like Logopolis. Caves is a classic. Ultimate Foe, oh well. Survival, my favourite story of the 1980s. And then, well, I guess we're saving the telly movie.
Well, it's only a telly movie, really.
Telly movie, then
it's his first and last.
What was that one with Eccleston? What was it called?
Oh, well, Bad Wolf, Parting of the Ways.
Parting of the Ways is
fantastic.
very good. And then they unfortunately got progressively worse.
Well, until Capaldi. Oh, no, because Twice Upon a Time
was
yes,
if
it finished on a Doctor's Fall like it should have, it would have been the greatest exit since Davison.
I genuinely forgot about Twice Upon a Time.
There's good reasons for that.
So did most of us, I think.
Yeah, it's awful.
The Power of the Doctor?
Listen to her last day.
There are enough stories in that batch. I would put it above the Fifth Doctor, who, look, I don't dislike the Fifth Doctor, but he's not one of my favourites either.
However, Dave, if you get rid of the Fifth Doctor, you have to remember, right? The Fifth Doctor came at a time where the show was fading away from the public consciousness. Yep. Tom Baker had been there for 178 years. People were getting fed up of it. The Fifth Doctor comes along, youthful, vibrant, a complete contrast. The ratings go up. You had classics like Earthshock. And Earthshock. No. There's some great stories in the era. And the Fifth Doctor, he got a whole new generation of kids involved in the show, including me and Mr. Irwin's on the. He'd be shouting down the bloody microphone now, saying,
I'm probably a fraction older and see.
Yes, Grandad.
Well, back when I was young, and Tom Baker
You should have saved season 4 then, shouldn't you?
See, I suppose as a kid, Tom was the Doctor I grew up with, and the Fifth Doctor did grow on me, but I remember when he first came along, I knew he was just the guy from All Creatures Great and Small, pretending to be the Doctor, and I didn't really like any of the companions he was with initially.
Forget the companions, think about the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, as I said, he did grow on me, and I think had his entire era been like season 21...
I
think had
his character been like it is in the back end of season,
and especially Frontios and Caves, where you got
Planet of Fire.
I think had his era and character been like that, I would mount a much stronger argument. But I have to say, the first year or so probably of his run, I did not drift away from Doctor Who, but I probably wasn't as obsessed with Doctor Who.
Can I challenge something, Dave? You said before, the 10th Planet, a really good story. Is it really a good story? I mean, if they had no regeneration there, it'd be just basically another Base on the Siege story.
I think it's a very good Base on the Siege story.
Well, it's the original Base on the Siege story, but...
And again, look, to your part,
Space Museum?
To your point, Mark, if we were talking about Peter Davison, that would be one thing, because I really appreciate what Peter Davison does. He's always putting it in the effort. He does some really good performances, even in stories he clearly thinks are ridiculous. He's doing his best.
He's trying, yes he is.
But it isn't Peter Davison, it's the Fifth Doctor. And I can't put him, for all the arguments you're making, I can't put him above the War Games and Caves Androzani and Survival and Bad Wolf.
What about the other? See, because I mean, we talk about consistency here, right? The Fifth Doctor, he was in a lot of poo. Let's be honest with you, but his performance was consistently good. However, every last story, every Doctor, I mean, the stories you're rattling off, we're all very focused on the classic ones because that's the ones we like the most.
Yes.
Down the other end, we've got such turds as Power of the Doctor, Last of Time Laws. I could keep going, you know what I mean? So, yes. Can I buy somebody's Joker off them?
Look, we've had the court, we've had the chat. I'm voting for the last story of every Doctor. Mark?
You're obviously voting
I'm going for the Fifth Doctor. Richard, I'm looking at you.
I know.
Pleading.
This is please play your joke. I'll come wash your car every week.
I have now. Richard, you got to go what you believe, but just remember our friendship will be over.
You've got to vote your conscience.
Yeah. No, you do what's right for you, Richard.
It's just a bit where I do the turlo, just take it. That's the table.
Enlightenment was the choice. Yeah.
Has he got a light bulb?
I think there's probably only 3 rounds left. So I'm really torn. So look, to keep things moving,
And to keep our friendship intact.
so one of you, other of you doesn't hate me. We'll put the 5th Doctor through, and I'll play my Joker to save the last
Well
story.
done.
Of the
Thank you,
Doctor.
sir. Thank you, sir.
And I just hope there's nothing in this bowl that,
Thanks, big fella.
that we're going to make us regret.
And we're cuddling on the couch for you at home.
As I said, I just hope there's nothing in the bowl that's going to make us regret that.
Excellent. All right, well, we'll keep going with one Joker left.
How much can I bite off you, Dave?
Can I buy a vowel? 2,
Yeah, that's actually very funny.
3, 4. Yeah, all right. So, what have we got this time?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, no. This will be something like Horror of Fang Rock Images of Fender. All right. All the Gallifrey stories.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Again, inconsistent, yes.
Yeah, very.
Power of the Doctor, speak of the devil.
Oh, no! Well, we can't play...
The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. Ooh. And Romana. Both Romanas, I'm guessing.
And not the Big Finish ones.
Well, we've saved the Power of the Doctor, so that's
Yeah,
true.
so that one's safe actually.
Yeah.
We're down to 3 choices. So we're down to all the Gallifrey stories, the Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit, and Romana.
So Gallifrey stories that we would want to save: Deadly Assassin,
Yep.
5 Doctors,
Yep. War Games.
War
Part
Games.
Times. Part 10.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Would you say 3 Doctors as well? Because that's set a bit on Gallifrey.
Well, so
Yeah.
does that include... Yeah, I was going to say it'd be 3 Docs because there's
And
part
also,
of that.
was it Colony in Space at the beginning?
Yeah, there's that
Yes,
stuff in the
there
room.
is a scene in the room. Yes, there is.
There's also the Arc of Infinity.
Let's not talk about that. IKEA. Just they turned Gallifrey into IKEA.
I guess that also includes Trial of a Time Lord, although...
That was on a
That-
space
that's
station.
on the space station.
That was on a space
Oh.
station. That was Gallifrey
but
Minor.
part of it's in the Matrix.
Well, the Matrix isn't on Gallifrey.
That's dialed into that. It was like Team Viewer.
Well,
That's
in
dialed in.
Deadly Assassin it is.
That's working from home.
Matrix from home.
Deadly Assassin it
Yeah.
is.
I mean, if you sort of rank those stories there. Deadly Assassin. Dead set classic. Well, hold on. Wasn't there a Peter Capaldi one where he's on Gallifrey?
Oh yeah, the one where he gets out, he punches the, he
Yeah.
keeps punching
Oh.
through the.
It's either Heaven Sent or Hell Bent.
Yeah, and there's that one.
The one where he's hell bent on getting through the crystal
Yes.
is Heaven Sent.
Yes.
And the one where he's sent from heaven to save Gallifrey is Hell Bent.
Hellbent.
right.
So
That's
do
the
you
one
want
where
to
he
do that
basically
again?
says "Wrestle on, bugger off," and he.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, kicks. Yeah, they surround him and he kicks Russell on
Yeah,
it.
so Heaven Sent.
That's mental. Yeah, and that's and also there was that Timeless Children rubbish because weren't they on Gallifrey for that? Because
Oh, I can't remember.
yeah, I think they were. Why don't I
Oh,
remember that?
the
Yeah.
finale where they go back and the Masters wiped out the Time Lords.
Yeah,
And we have the
again.
Cyber Lords, yeah.
Oh, it's got that. Yeah. So that's gone. No,
Well, look,
that's hard though because
the Deadly Assassin 5 Doctors, I think, are doing a lot of work on that one.
yeah, and I mean War Games the last little bit, but I mean
Yeah.
there's definitely it. But
But one of the greatest 10th Doctor stories and one of the greatest RTD stories, and look, a favourite for me of the new series, The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. And I think we all waxed lyrical about that when we first saw it.
we did. I haven't watched it actually.
We did, but
for a while.
But would we save that over? We've also got Romana to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it was
Yeah.
just a choice between the Gallifrey stories, the Impossible Planet, Satan Pit, but we've also still got the third little bit of paper there that says Romana on it.
1 and 2.
1 and 2,
They're combined.
and the Big Finish ones.
No.
I don't know about this. I can't
Well, I think they're Romana 2. I think
I
aren't they?
think it's
The Romana 2 plus they
It's
didn't
all
have a
Lala Wood,
generator as well.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Probably.
Well, when Lala
yeah.
Wood said she was sick of it.
probably played by Lexi Sale or something. Man.
Didn't you kill my doctor?
Look,
Romana.
a very good character from some good Doctor Who.
Yes.
Works
Yes.
very well with the Doctor. Probably the shake-up that the companion formula needed
Yeah.
at that point.
Yep. Mary Tam is very good.
It's funny thinking back, as Australian fans, we all used to wax lyrical about Lalla Ward because she was the one that had been repeated the most.
Yeah,
that's
she was
right.
the one we'd seen most recently.
Yeah.
And we didn't actually get the Key to Time repeated all that much until the 90s.
Yes.
Then suddenly we all saw the Key to Time again, and everyone's like, actually, Mary Tam's really good as well.
Very good, yeah.
Well, I'm probably going to go. I'm going to go with Romana. So,
but we get rid of the 5 Doctors, and she was in it for about 3 seconds.
the problem with the Gallifrey one is you've got 2 or 3 stories there that are doing a lot of heavy lifting.
That's right.
Really?
Yeah.
So look, I'm willing to put the Gallifrey stories aside as much as I'll miss the Deadly Assassin and the 5 Doctors.
I'm going to telesnap reconstruct those now.
All right.
I have to have those images. Romana and the possible. Well,
It's another curse of Fenric for me. Like the Impossible Planet in other rounds would be very competitive, but you're right, Richard. I don't think I can vote against Romana.
no. The Key to Time will be very much listened.
You've still got a Joker, Dave.
He's not using his bloody Joker, is he?
Very cagey about the
How many still in
Joker.
the bowl? Oh.
Yeah, he's got 20 other things to get through, so he's reserving it.
It's usually me hanging on the
Yeah,
Joker till the end.
I mean,
but,
look. I'd rather have Romana in the Key to Time than say
likewise.
Mel or Adric. So
All right, look,
I'm happy
All right, I regret it, but I'll agree we'll go with Romana, and we will get rid of
So the
one
Impossible.
of my favourite 10th Doctor stories.
Be brave, Dave.
Into the Satan pit.
Into the
Yeah,
same pit.
yes. Dave,
All
you
right,
okay?
so we're putting through Romana. All right, Dave, back to you.
Oh, here we go.
So we've now got The Savages,
Yep.
Fugitive of the Jadoon,
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Series 2 of New Who.
Yeah.
We could get the Satan Pit back. Oh,
Oh my goodness, what's this one?
all Chris Boucher stories.
Well,
You're not getting it.
I can see either the Joker's going to come out or that's the one that's going through.
this,
So,
this could be a very undramatic round, I think.
well, all right. So,
All right. Well, look, we'll talk about the Chris Boucher stories at the end. But
Yes.
is anybody going to make a case for any of the others? Let's work them through.
Well, Fugitive to the Jadoon, I think, is probably the easy one, is it?
Oh, just burn it now. No discussion.
Is there any?
No.
Did you not enjoy it?
No.
No?
No.
I thought it was one of the highlights of the Whittaker era.
It's not saying much, Dave.
Look.
So why did you like it, Dave? Why did you like it?
I think that there was just a sense of mystery and adventure, and there were some genuine, like, oh wow moments in that I just hadn't seen coming. Some really good performances. I just thought it was an unexpectedly strong story in a season that I was not hating, but was very...
there.
It was very ambivalent about it until we got to that story.
See, it's interesting though. I did watch that episode. I think the problem with that story for me was that there's another Doctor being revealed. Where if they hadn't been done, say in Day of the Doctor, which as we all know had problems with that then. There's another one now who's all of a sudden appeared. So it's like, they've done it again. You know what I mean? Like it's.
They played that card
They
before.
played that card before, and I think to me it's just again like that diminishing returns thing.
Yeah, look.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend though that it's going to beat all Chris Boucher
Well,
stories.
it's not. So
No.
I think, look, it had its moments. You're right. I
didn't like Joe Martin.
also remember a lot of the fandom nonsense that blew up around it when it aired.
That's not like fandom at all.
No, not at all. What's that quote from The Simpsons? I was on the internet straight away talking about mine. Yeah, look, it was an interesting episode, but look, I couldn't save it over anything else that's in that list.
Bye-bye.
The Savages, well, it doesn't exist anyway, so...
On audio.
Would it be well regarded if it was found, do you think?
No.
No,
really.
I from the audio, I don't think so, unless there is something in the visual production that we're completely missing.
Yeah,
I think it's a fairly bog standard story, and the only reason I think anyone remembers it is because it's basically Stephen's
Last story.
story, I think.
I suspect if it was found, there would be a very robust blackface discussion to be had.
Yes.
Because, Freddie Jaeger is in blackface, I believe.
Is the Savages now the Forgotten Hartnell?
It's probably
Yeah,
that
one
or
of
the
them.
smugglers.
The smugglers,
One of them. Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I can tell you what the Savages is about, but if you ask me to tell you the plot beats of the Savages, I couldn't do it. I know a couple of the big ones. Like I know the Doctor's put in the machine, and I know that Freddie Jaeger's character becomes the Doctor for a bit, and they smash the machines at the end.
Part 1 is set up. Part 2 is meeting the actual Savages. Part 3 is Stephen rousing the Savages, and Part 4 is Frederick Jaeger's personality changing at just the right moments to resolve the plot.
There you go.
Did you watch it on your 16mm printer? Though, did you? It sounds like you sound very well informed, Richard.
I would like to see the Savages, but
We haven't seen it since, so it's
No.
we're not missing much so far.
So we're left with Series 2 of New Who and all the Chris Boucher stories. I still don't think there's anything in Series 2 New Who that is going to top the 3 Chris Boucher stories.
Well, this is the thing. I could make a case that the Impossible Planet is in there, but it's Robots of Death.
Well,
And
that's
The Day God Went Mad,
plus
and Image of the
Plus
Fandal.
Series 2 is Series 2 Rose. So
It's smug, isn't it? It's smug, you know.
Look, I did find her better when Rob and I did the deep dive into Series 2 a year or so ago.
Okay.
But where she's annoying, she's very annoying.
Plus you're also saving stuff like Love and Monsters and
Age of Steel.
yes.
Oh yeah, Doomsday and that sort of stuff. Yeah,
Yes.
it's not great. It's
Look,
not great.
Let's just...
I mean, School Union is great, but it's only because Liz Sladen's there. The rest of the story is
Exactly.
actually quite pants.
Look,
So
this was actually put together before Chris Boucher passed away a couple of weeks ago.
yeah.
Right.
So that timing is coincidental. We've been waxing on, I think, all of our podcasts
Yes.
about
I
Chris
think so.
Boucher.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I think we've all said, look, most of fandom, certainly of our vintage, puts Robots of Death in the top 5, top 10.
Yep.
Spot on.
The Face of Evil is just a really clever script.
Yep.
Image of the Fandal, it's not his best script, but I watched that again for the podcast for season 15.
Yeah.
And watching it, it was just line after line after line of character, of witty dialogue, of proper laugh out loud moments.
I love Image of the Fandal.
I think it's
great.
fantastic.
I think it's
So-
really good. Yeah.
Look, I think we knew where this round was
Yeah.
going to end as soon as
I
that
think
came
so.
out. Sorry, Series 2 of New Who. Sorry, Impossible Planet, for losing out again. But we're going to put through all the Chris Boucher
Yes.
stories.
Fantastic.
so.
Yes, that's good.
We have 2 rounds to go. Mark,
Right.
it's with
Thank
you.
you. Mysterious Planet.
Ooh.
The Mind Robber.
Oh.
I can hear the shredding machine. All John Peel novelisations. Dave, you wag. All Pretty Grimwade stories. Hold on. I know where this is going.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Okay, so we got Mysterious Planet, Mind Robber, all John Peel novelisations, and all the Pretty Grimwade stories.
I could make an argument for all 4 of those. So
Okay.
I'll start by saying there's none there that I think us just smashing the others out of the competition, like the last round. There's none there that I would just automatically dismiss either.
If I was getting one probably straight away, my gut feeling would be Mysterious Planet.
I agree.
Yes.
I think it's an underrated story,
Yeah.
but it's not as good as the Mind Robber.
No. And only Patrick Troughton's only got 5 episodes left in the archive, so we can't afford to lose any more, Dave.
Yeah, we've burned most.
If the Mysterious Planet was a standalone story, would that be better regarded and better remembered?
Yes. And I think it was 3 episodes.
I think it is a bit dismissed as it's the opening part of Trial. It doesn't really get thought about as its own thing.
No. I think people just go, after the amazing effect at the beginning, it just, but it's the whole concept that saddles it. Yeah.
It's really beautifully filmed.
Yeah.
The casting's really good. It's got some really good people in there. It's not Tom Chadbourne's best performance.
No, it's not, but at least he's in it.
It's the best Sixth Doctor and Perry relationship that they get in their entire run.
Yeah. And it's interesting with Mysterious Planet is it's shot completely on video, but it's not punch in your face like the McCoy stuff is in terms of the lighting, because in those beautiful autumnal scenes, it's actually it does look quite filmic, even though it's on video. So, yeah, there's some nice bits about it, but...
I like the Mysterious Planet,
yeah.
but it's not the Mind Robber.
No,
which
and...
I love. I
yeah.
love the Mind Robber.
Yeah, and if Mysterious Planet was maybe in black and white, so we have to see Colin's coat, maybe it might go through, but alas, we can't. We've got the Mind Robber there, the only one of 5 complete Troughtons.
Yep.
Yeah, which really should have an endangered species tag put on these. That was the first Troughton I saw on the ABC run in late 85,
likewise.
86.
Well,
Likewise.
that was the first Troughton I saw.
Yeah.
Yep, in that infamous 1986 repeat run.
The wonderful 86 run.
That was fantastic.
That was
wasn't it?
great. Thank you, David Hill.
How is everyone in Britain? we were just enjoying repeats of the Trough era.
Yes, and then people were bitching about it in DWM.
Yeah.
Oh, they're seeing the robot again. Yep, we are. Yeah, 5 episodes of Troughton, and again, it's that first episode,
Fantastic.
it's fantastic given the
There's no budget.
There's no budget. It's basically another Edge of Destruction, but it's actually done pretty well.
There's no sets other than the white background and that sort of room with just a lump of tech put in front of him.
Yeah.
We'll call that the power room.
Exactly, and the sound effect. Yeah.
There's no guest cast other than the voice of Emrys Jones.
Yeah. Does it lose its appeal though when it goes into the land of fiction? Though, do you think?
Look, is episode 1 the strongest of the 5? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But are the other 4 bad? No.
No.
And
no.
Again, we keep using the phrase "as a kid," but I was 6 when that went out on the ABC, and that was just fantastic. Minotaurs, unicorns, Medusa.
Yeah.
Like robot, like it was everything you want in a piece of children's television.
And Zoe's bottom spinning on the TARDIS console.
Well, there you go.
I was 6.
I was a little bit more older.
Yes, likewise.
Yes.
And look, I've met Evan Hercules, who was the set designer on that, and he was a really, really nice bloke. So,
Did he move to Australia?
he did.
Oh, really? Okay.
He did. We interviewed him for Sonic.
Oh, there you go. You had to find all these interviews and scan them or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
we did. And he was a hell of a nice bloke.
Okay. There you go. Excellent. So, Mind Robber. Should we come back to that for the minute?
come back to
Okay.
that.
I think,
All John Peel novelisations. Now, Dave, you read The Chase for our 42 to Doomsday podcast. Bloke. He's also did the
2 master plans.
and Evil and Power.
And they're very good books.
They are.
And they were each big deals when they came out.
He also wrote that sequel to Dalek Invasion of Earth, didn't he?
He did write the War of the Daleks and...
Oh, yes, he wrote, yes.
We're all talking about all
yes.
those novelisations, aren't we? So it's everything. There's not just the ones he did for the TV.
It's Legacy of the Daleks.
Legacy of the Daleks and War of the Daleks.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And his Mission Adventure Evolution, which is a little bit...
Plus he wrote that Terry Nation, and it's not really a novel, but he wrote that Terry Nation, what is it, Doctor Who and the Daleks book or whatever.
Oh, that was terrible. Yeah, okay.
Oh, that's not a novelisation.
No. Look, I don't like seeing my Target book collection being having gaps again, but to save the Mind Robber, but we haven't talked about the other one yet.
But again, are some of the books there doing the heavy lifting for the others? So
Well-
are the Evil and Power novelisations doing the heavy lifting maybe for...
They're
for
doing
us?
a lot of heavy lifting, but the Master Plan books are really good as well.
Yeah.
And even The Chase, which, as you say, we discussed on 42 to Doomsday, was a good book. It wasn't a classic, but it was a good book.
It was a good read, yeah? Yeah. All right, let's just come back to that one again in a minute. All Peter Grimwade stories. So we're talking about the ones he's written. Yep.
Written and directed.
Oh!
Do we need to get the program guide out?
Well, what he's written is easy.
Yeah.
Time Flight, which is terrible.
Yeah.
Mordred Undead, which is better.
Yeah. Planet of
Planet
Fire.
of Fire, which is excellent.
Yes, okay, yep. And then directed, Full
Full
Circle.
Circle. Logopolis.
Kinder. Earthshock.
Earthshock.
He should have done Resurrection, but we
He
won't
should
talk
have.
about that.
Oh, Matthew Robinson doesn't do a bad job with
No,
that.
but yeah.
Well, he should have done a lot
He
more.
should have, he should have done it to everybody here. They needed him.
I've said before, I rate Peter Grimwade as the number 2 director in the series.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Behind only Sir Douglas Camfield.
Yeah. No, Grimwade is excellent. And
Tony Russell?
you wouldn't have Earthshock. You wouldn't have Earthshock.
Look, there are a number that are up there, but I genuinely think, and when you look through that list,
For sure.
what Peter Grimwade did as a director was just excellent, and he did it again and again and again.
More hits than misses in terms of his writing, because as you said, Time Flight is awful. However, Mordred's good.
Mordred's
Planet of Fire
very
is
cleverly
fantastic.
written. The problems with Mordred are not the script;
No.
they're the production.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just they're directed flat again.
The music.
Yeah. Oh, you don't like that? Down, 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 down.
No.
I personally think now, based on all that, I thought it was just his stories. But when you say you actually talk about his, his directional output as well, I'm afraid you can't get rid of bloody Earthshock for God's sakes. That's the only decent thing Eric Saward did.
Well, we praised the Fifth Doctor earlier, so...
Well, okay,
Yeah.
so...
I have my Joker. So if we're agreeing to put through the Peter Grimwade stories, which it sounds like we are.
So what's left for your Joker? The Mind Robber or John Peel? So we agree we're getting rid of Mysterious Planet.
Yeah, that's
look,
fine.
I don't hate the Mysterious Planet, but it's not going to beat the Mind Robber.
No.
I'm going to play my Joker on the John Peel novelisations because of just what a big deal they were for me as a fan. Every time they came out, there were stories that are classics that we didn't think were going to be novelised, and suddenly Master Plan's being novelised, Power's being novelised, Evil's being novelised, and they were really good books, and they really sort of set the tone. I think that the Power of the Daleks novelisation really set up where the New and Missing Adventures were going to go. And that sort of concept that a larger format book was written much more for fans was worthwhile. And look, I'm sorry to see the Mind Robber go, but it's my Joker. It's a personal choice. I'm putting through the John Peel stories.
How can I explain that to Mind Rob that we just deleted the we just deleted Black and White Doctor Who? Let's hope that house has got them spare copies. Goodbye, Mind Robber. Telescopic can
here we go. Last round.
Last round.
Well, there we
Jokers
go.
are all gone.
Last four in the bowl.
No, the three Jokers are still around the table. But,
All right, we have, drum roll please, The Mind of Evil.
oh
no.
no. It's just been colorised.
Oh no. The Planet of Evil.
Oh. Is this going to be all evil? Dr. Evil.
Oh, the 60s, 70s and 80s by House Davis and Walker.
Oh, no.
Oh no. Oh, you bastard. Season 21.
Oh, come on. We're leaving.
Once again, I could make a case for 3 of the 4 of those.
All right.
I didn't lie down.
I'm probably going to start by saying the 60s, 70s and 80s were amazing books when they came out.
Yeah.
I suspect there are now not better, but other reference materials that replace them.
And we were comparing those to what had happened, what came out before, i.e. the Haining books. And they were, I mean, as much as Great Celebration is, these are really factual. And, you know, they kept saying in the 60s, they kept calling it, was 100,000 BC?
Yep.
Yep. So, you know, and there was some great information in those for the first time.
There were photos we'd never seen before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they're now all on the internet.
That's
Correct.
the thing.
Yeah.
I suspect fandom has, at the time, these were amazing books, but I suspect we've probably moved around to the next part of the cycle.
Sorry, David, if you're listening.
Okay, so we're left with The Mind of Evil, Planet of Evil, and Season 21.
So can I just say on Planet of Evil, I think that there are 2 fails in the Tom Baker era,
Yep.
and that's one of them.
Yes, I would probably say it's not one of my favourite Tom Baker's or Hinchcliffe stories.
It's remembered for the jungle and the monster,
Yep.
but the plot's
Yep.
nonsensical and dull.
Yeah.
The model work is just a giant vacuum cleaner on a black piece of canvas. You've got some rather interesting bits of acting, and like Prentice Hancock is not exactly being restrained there. Come on, Wyszynski, you're in charge. Give an order, save the ship.
And he's just doing the same performance he did in bloody Planet of the Daleks, isn't he? Really? Yeah, he's a bit one note, isn't
and
he?
look, it's sandwiched between Zygons and Pyramids of Mars, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you miss it if basically that run went from Zygons to Pyramids of Mars? No.
Well,
so-
when I watch that season, I do skip it. So
Oh, okay, right. So Planet of Evil, I'm not a big fan of it. Look, it's there.
It's there.
They used to call it the Forgotten Hinchcliffe in the early 90s. There's probably a reason for that.
So-
Goodbye.
All right, so we're left with The Mind of Evil and Season 21.
Yeah.
Now, Season 21... Well, no, I was going to say, so if we go through the stories, Warriors of the Deep...
Yeah.
underrated. I think it's actually quite
It's actually
story.
a good script there.
Yeah.
Again, production, Dave. Absolutely
we
right.
then have The Awakening.
Which is
now,
pretty good.
we do know somebody who thought The Awakening was one of the best stories of the Davison era.
Yeah.
And thought it should be 4 parts.
Yes.
I think that's a weak link in the Davison stories of the season.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's entertaining, but I mean, I wouldn't think it'd be 4 parts.
I will say about The Awakening that one of my abiding, really early childhood memories when I was, a toddler watching on Dad's
Malice.
lap
Yeah.
is the Malice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both the fate, like I can remember, and I must have been about 4 or 5 watching it at the time. I can remember the image of the Malice face coming out of the wall.
Yep.
And I remember the image of the Malice creature on the walls of the TARDIS.
TARDIS, yeah.
Yep.
They are 2 really powerful memories.
And that sound effect actually of the mouse was like that. It was
Yeah.
a bad impression, I apologise, but you know what I mean? That's actually pretty spooky.
So you've then got Frontios.
Frontios, which is underrated and
Yes. It's
a
fantastic.
really good story. It's a
Very
really
good
good
story.
story.
Yeah, really good story.
We then move into
Resurrection of the Daleks.
or basically the Lytton story. I
Yes,
think really.
Although it's a bit of a messy plot, there's a lot to recommend Resurrection.
There is.
It is a fast-paced, well-directed action story,
Yeah.
which it is very 1980s.
Yes.
gritty, grimy. It's almost like the Sweeney of Doctor Who, isn't it? Really?
Well, I think we did say in one of the 42 to Doomsdays. I think if you look at a couple of scenes in that, you probably get Eric Saywood's world view. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I think. We then obviously go into Planet of
Planet
Fire.
of Fire, which Dave is a massive
favourite
fan.
of mine,
yes.
Yeah, massive fan, and of course,
Caves of Androzani.
Caves of Androzani.
The best episode of Blake Seven in Doctor Who.
Absolutely, followed by
The
Twin Dilemma. Okay. However, you've got pretty much a full season of, apart from those last 4 episodes, good Doctor Who there.
The Fifth Doctor's best work.
Fifth Doctor's best work.
Well,
solid,
we did say that.
consistent.
We said that earlier here,
Yep.
that it is his best season.
Mind of
Strickson's
Evil.
doing some great stuff.
Absolutely. Mark Strickson's great. That whole TARDIS crew actually of Strickson and Fielding is very, very good to me.
Yeah, it's one of the best in the season.
So it's a shame they bloody locked Turlo up. They still haven't got that whole 2-character thing happening yet in terms of giving them interesting things to do at the same time. But that season is a particular favourite of mine, actually.
Yeah,
it's
mine
pretty
too.
good. Mind of Evil is great, however.
Compared to season 21.
But 6 episodes as opposed to all that wonderfulness in there. Isn't
Yes.
it really? You know, I mean, we've got plenty of other Pertwees to keep us going.
I like The Mind of Evil, but I'm not quite sure what it is in there that I like. Is it just that it's a good action adventure?
It's the season 7 orphan, as I call it.
It is a bit, isn't it?
Yeah. Like it would be, you wouldn't be out of place at the end of Inferno if they kept it going.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, where season 21 is probably is the peak of my Doctor Who watching back then. Love it. Yeah, it's really
I'm a big fan as well. I think that's 2 votes for.
So
Is it unanimous, Richard?
well, season 21 would have been my choice.
very
So,
good. The Twin Dilemma really sort of sold it to him. So thank you, Richard.
Mark, do you want to give us our list of the things we've saved this week?
All right, we're going to go all Chris Boucher stories, season 4, all Douglas Adams stories, the Ambassadors of Death, Barry Letts, the 5th Doctor, last story of every Doctor, Romana, all Peter Grimwade stories, the ones he wrote and directed, all John Peel novelisations, including his classic MA and NA, and of course, season 21.
There you go.
There you go.
Now, to mix things up a bit for this episode, we're going to play a quick game I'm calling Favourites.
Ooh.
We're going to pass this round, and look, a lot of the answers here, regular listeners to the Doctor Who show will know from me, but we're going to hear more from you guys.
Okay.
We're going to pull a topic out, and you have to pick your absolute favourites. No equivocations,
Ooh.
no runners-up,
Right.
Ooh.
just what are your dead set favourites in these categories.
Okay.
Richard, you can start us this time.
Ooh, all right.
Oh.
What do we got?
I'm a bit thrown off now.
Right, let's go with this one. Favourite writer and why? Wow. Well, we've just bigged up Chris Boucher, so...
refer 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. I was waxing lyrical about Chris Boucher. I will say, for the 3 stories he does, he has got an amazing strike rate.
He does.
Yeah. Pip and Jane Baker.
No, I was going to say there's a difference probably between favourite and objective best. I am actually going to go with Chris Boucher because I think those 3 stories, he only writes 3 stories for Doctor Who, but they are 3 amazing stories.
Yeah.
All 3 of them. You could probably argue, look, Fendale's maybe a fraction iffy.
I love
but,
Fendale.
And, look, you could probably make the Fendale versus Face of Evil, which one's better argument. But
Which I do regularly.
I actually think that's an amazing strike rate. Yeah, look, I'm going to go with Chris Boucher.
There you go.
Other you 2 guys want to jump in with one?
I'll say Malcolm Hulk. When you think of like, all the stories that he wrote, stuff like Silurians, Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
And his novels are good too.
Yep, many of my favourites. He knows how to write a good monster adventure with some meaning underneath.
Yeah, Robert Holmes.
Robert Holmes for you, Mark?
Yeah, Robert Holmes, definitely for me. It's only a shame I can, Robert Holmes, his strike rate is very good. Yes, Space Pirates is a little bit draggy, as it were, but, Spearhead from Space, Terror of the Yordons. And the work he did on Tom Baker's first 3 years is peerless. So yeah, I'm massive. Of course, Caves as well. Definitely favourite of mine.
Well, so that's a good thing. See, I can piss Chris Boucher because I knew you guys were going to come up.
Well, look, I think Boucher, Hulk, and Holmes is a pretty good combination.
And no Pip and Jane Baker. Just double checking for you there. No,
Glenn McCoy.
Glenn McCoy. Okay, I'll open my one now. Favourite monster and why? Thank you very much for asking me that. I've always liked the Cybermen, particularly the Earthshock style Cybermen. They scared the bejesus out of me. I think, obviously, they can go upstairs, which is a big. To me, the Daleks are just very, very shouty.
Yeah.
Without Davros, they're all very shouty. With the Cybermen, are very mobile, and just the stories they've been in, whether they've been in the sewers, as I said, Earthshock, that claustrophobic feeling. And I just remember, it sounds silly now, when I was 11 or 10, walking home in a dark sort of way home from school. I just kept thinking, the Cybermen are behind me because I got that image of the Earthshock Cybermen. So they've always done it for me. However, the new series has been a disgrace to them. So, but, and also the designs of the Cybermen are fantastic too. You think about the 10th planet where that you could just, they've still got their humanity shriveled under there. Yeah, and also, the moon base, Team of the Cybermen, some classic stories there. And I will call out, though, the Doctor Falls. And what was the story before that?
World Different Time. Yeah,
those two for a Cyberman story were really good as well. Just those scenes in the hospital, very, very chilling. So for me, I think the Cybermen...
So not closing time then?
Again, the Cybermen for me, mainly classic era, are my favourite monsters.
Richard, do you have a pick?
My inclination would have probably been the Cybermen as well. I think they always moved me a bit more as a kid. Given Mark's taken them.
Well, it's your favourite. You can have the same favourite.
Well, I can, but we want get something slightly different here as well.
Mistor.
Careful, he might be listening.
Oh, yeah.
Well done. If I can have Sutek as a monster, I'd be inclined to jump with Sutek.
That
Go
voice.
for it.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'll have Sutek because I think Sutek, the portrayal, the costuming,
The
whole
voice.
setup, the voice
is
just incredible.
Yeah, and the hand on the cushion.
Yes.
Wonderful. No, it's very chilling, isn't it? Very chilling.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic, yeah.
Look, I know you're knocked a mark, but I'm going to pick the Daleks. I know it's the obvious one, but particularly those 60s Dalek stories, they're just so evil, so manipulative, so powerful. Then you've also got stuff like Remembrance, which is really good.
Yeah.
I think some of the best stories of the new series are Dalek stories, at least those early RTD ones.
Yep.
So for all the obvious reasons, I'll go the Daleks.
Very good, very good. And Dave?
Next out of the bowl, three. So we've got five.
Okay,
So
cool.
Third out of the five, we have favourite director and why.
Well, which one are you going to leap in for Douglas Camfield?
Are we all going to just wax about Douglas Camfield? Is anybody going to put anything else up?
Definitely. Sorry, you go.
I was going to say, given I know you're probably going to jump for Douglas Camfield, and I mentioned her a few minutes ago, I'll go with Paddy Russell, just to be a point of difference.
Oh, fair enough.
Okay. For me, Dougie Camfield, obviously. Harper's classic work was pretty good. Pretty good. Peter Greenway, we mentioned before, obviously, as well. Very consistent with his directing. Really exciting, and it's a shame they didn't use him ever again. And also, I think from a new series perspective, I always liked Nick Curran's work. I've always found his work. He directed the 50th anniversary. I found his directing style really good as well.
Yeah, look, Rachel Talalay gets a lot of credit for the new series, and I think that's very well deserved.
Yeah.
I talked earlier about why I think Peter Grimway's really, really good, but I can't go beyond Douglas Camfield either. Just classic after classic after classic.
Yeah.
What he did with the tone and the style of the show was just clever, innovative, and really good. But Richard, you picked Paddy Russell. Why?
Probably because of the stories. If we go backwards, there's Horror Fang Rock.
Yeah.
Which I think is just an out-and-out classic, and her direction adds a lot to that. The Pyramids of Mars. I got Sutek a minute ago, and let's face it, and she was one of the directors who could keep a chain on Tom Baker.
One of the few directors.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know he used to salute her and stuff, but she was one of the few who could keep a lid on him.
Yeah.
Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
Yes.
Now, yes, okay, it's got plasticine dinosaurs in it that she had to work with, but I actually think Invasion of the Dinosaurs is actually quite a good story.
Absolutely.
And The Massacre, which, from the audio and reading everything else about it, seems to be an amazing story. So, yeah.
That's a very good pick, actually, and she's very innovative, in the BBC as well, like in terms of coming through in the 50s. One of the very few female directors in the organisation. They said, worked on The Massacre, and just kept going. So, that's a good choice, mate. Well done.
Two more favourites to go. Richard, it's your turn.
Okay. We have favourite Doctor and why.
Okay, we might as well... Look, I'll just sit back now. Yeah. It's Tom Baker.
Well, look, I am going to go the obvious choice. I'm going to go for Tom because Tom was the Doctor first one I saw. He was the Doctor I grew up with. He was there long enough that pretty much my whole childhood just about was Tom up until I became a teenager.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, look, Tom is the Doctor. So, all the others are imposters. I have no doubt. Look, I have no doubt had I been born 5 or 6 years earlier, I'd probably be waxing as lyrical about Pertwee, I think, because, you tend to find, for a lot of fans, it is the one you saw first. But for me, that's most definitely, it's Tom.
Yeah, okay.
Mark?
Look, for me, like Richard said, I remember watching a bit of Tom Baker when I first started watching the program, but for me, the Davison Doctor and his portrayal solidified me being a fan. So from a classic perspective, I he's my favourite, as it were. However, I do love all the old classic Doctors. However, from a new series perspective, I do think Capaldi was my favourite new series Doctor as well. I know that first year's a bit shaky, and I know Into the Daleks, some people called him a bit of a
Prick.
Yes, I was trying to find another word. I've just seen some clips of him as a Doctor recently on YouTube, and just comparing it to what we've sort of seen recently. Yeah, he's just...
So I'd probably go Eccleston, I think, if I was...
Yeah, he was good too, actually, yeah.
And look, I am fond, probably, of most of the Doctors. Hartnell would be another one that would be high on my list. But
And he's obviously my favourite.
yes, and I was about to say, I suspect that's where we're going. So
No, look, I mean, listeners to the podcast know that Hartnell's my favourite. We've done whole episodes on why Hartnell's my favourite.
Yeah.
But I will just, again, mention as well, I did grow up with Pertwee, not because I'm older than you, Richard, but because I'm a bit younger, and I was just there for all
that's
of
when
those
the repeats.
those Pertwee repeats in the 80s, and I still think he's a great Doctor.
He is.
I love Capaldi, but Eccleston will be my pick of the new series as well.
Sure, yeah. John Pertwee. Fantastic, isn't he?
Last one.
Favourite season and why?
Oh,
Dave. Okay. Well, I think we've actually already mentioned this, actually.
Season 21.
Season 21 for me, it's hard there, because then we'll go season 7, you got season 14. Oh.
Well, it's season 7 for me, and I just think that is 4 absolute classic
Belters.
stories. Absolute belters.
Yep.
Spearhead, Solareds, Ambassadors, Inferno. I could watch them all and then watch them all once again. I think that it's Doctor Who at its grittiest, Doctor Who is its most innovative, and I think that they really take what could be a limited format and do some really interesting things with it in that season. You've got the parallel universe, you've got the They Were Here Before Us concept. I think that the Spearhead stuff is just really clever, and it looks obvious now, but it was just new and fresh for its time. Wonderful Doctor, wonderful companion. It's the best season for the Brigadier. I just think it's a fantastic season. I think it's just there is not a dud episode in there.
And I like to see the 7-episode format. Some people go it drags a little bit, but I really like it in terms of the story just draws a lot. It just goes.
It's got time to develop.
It's got time to develop, and you really invested in it.
It forces the writer to find extra things to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And look, season 7 definitely is a favourite. I mean, I can't say season 12, for example, because it used to get repeated all the bloody time over here, so you got sick to death of it. But season 14, this is hard, man. This is hard. Well, look, I'm going to go season 21, and I know that the end is rubbish, but I'm going to go from season 21 mainly from a pure nostalgia point of view. I know there are better seasons of it. From a nostalgia point of view, though, I do like season 21.
And there you go. So you've made it easy for me, because if I go season 14, we all get a Guernsey now. So
exactly right.
Every child wins a prize.
Yeah. So Richard's on season 24, I think. which they just had a massive sale on JB. It was down to $40. They're still trying to shift it.
Interestingly enough, Trial of the Time Lord was on around the time I was in year 12.
Yeah.
And because we then had drifted so far behind the UK, by the time season 24 was on, it aired. I'd left school and been out at full-time work for nearly 12 months, and I do remember coming home to be consistently disappointed by
well, you can relive those episodes for $40 at JB Hi-Fi. So
I did buy it when it came out, and I paid full price for it. So,
I know.
Season 14 though, Richard?
For me, it always probably would have been a Hinchcliffe season.
Yeah.
And I know that Pyramids of Mars is in season 13, but I have always had a really soft spot for the Mask of Mandragora. I'm not a huge fan of the Hand of Fear.
No, it's the weak link of the
season. But
season.
it is the weak link of the season. I don't know that I'd have got much out of The Deadly Assassin if it had been shown here when I was a kid. I didn't see it until I was an older teenager.
Yeah.
And from then on, I've really enjoyed it. I really like Face of Evil. I absolutely bloody love Robots of Death.
Yes.
And I'm also very, very fond of the Talons of Weng Chiang. That's right, fandom. I really like it. Come and get me.
And I have to get through me first to get to him, because I like it as well.
Yeah, I think it is probably the Hinchcliffe seasons really build, I think, across their run, and I think, it really hits probably, it hits its high point across season 14.
Spot on. Yeah, it's good. Very, very good.
Well, thank you for playing Favourites.
Thank you.
We'll now move to the end of the podcast, which is a few emails that have come in.
Excellent.
The first is from somebody called Richard. So, Richard, since you're actually here, why don't we just have a chat about it? You sent us a very thoughtful email about our...
It's actually quite long now that I look at it on the page, but yeah, go on.
It's nearly 2 A4 type pages. So I just, look, rather than reading the whole thing since you are here...
Yes.
Let's just have this as a bit of a chat, because you gave us some very good thoughts on our Season 15 podcast,
Yes.
which I've got to say we had a lot of really good engagement with that one.
Very good.
So, look, you went through, you gave all of the stories a letter grade. So, Horror of Fang Rock, you've called it a really good rendition of the Base Under Siege trademark and gave it an A+.
Yeah, I did give that an A+. I absolutely love the Horror of Fang Rock. I loved it as a kid. I still love it as an adult. It is probably the ultimate Base Under Siege story, I think. It's a pseudo-historical, which I think is the genre that Doctor Who probably does better than most of the others. Paddy Russell directed it, as we talked about a few minutes ago.
And it's the best story Philip Hinchcliffe never produced.
Yes. Look, the guest cast are really good.
Yeah.
It's one you could show a new fan. I think it's definite top 10 for me, and easily the pick of the season.
You were harsher on the Invisible Enemy than both Rob and I. Gave it a D+.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as a kid, and I probably bought into the whole, K9's really cute and cool. As an adult, its flaws really stand out. I think, probably a bit like Time Flight, I think it's just too ambitious, probably for Doctor Who's budget at the time. Having said that, look, the first episode and a bit's probably not that bad. It's got some great model work. It's got Michael Sheard, so that's pretty good. And Pat Gorman. Yeah, I think the last 2 episodes really are stretching the envelope on what Doctor Who can do.
Yeah.
And, I just think it's a letdown overall.
Gets worse later on, mate.
Yeah.
Now, the story that I rated as my favourite of the season, you gave a B.
I did. I was probably a bit more with Rob here. I am a little bit conflicted about it. We've just gone and said how much I love all the Chris Boucher stories. I think this one is probably the weakest of the 3 scripts that he wrote. I know, Mark. Sorry, Mark. Mark's got his hand over his face. Just
keep talking, mate. Keep talking.
Look, it's got some great ideas, some really cool moments. I actually think it does a really good job of ramping up the atmosphere throughout the production. There's probably a few not so good bits, and as I said, I think it's probably the weakest of the 3 scripts that he did. Dave and I, for those who listen to Spacefall, we were quite critical of George Benton Foster's work on Blake 7, and I do think some of his That'll Do directorial attitude seeps through here, perhaps.
Really? I thought the actual the scenes in the forest were very well directed.
I didn't say it was all badly
Yeah, okay,
directed.
yeah.
I just think there are some probably slightly flat stuff. Having said that, look, Daphne Hurd Ma Tyler, she is awesome.
Yeah, she's
I must
awesome.
admit, she is absolutely awesome. Look, it did obviously influence both Caldor City, but look, I gave it a B.
You know, the Big Finish is doing a Mrs. Tyler Investigates 38 CD box.
Sort of like K9 and Company, just with Ma Tyler.
Or
They're doing a crossover where her Mark Tyler character meets Mrs. Puvalitsky from To the Manor Ball. It's just like leaving home in 39.
All right.
And the Sunmakers, you gave us C+.
Yes. I think when I was a kid, this one just washed straight over me. I don't think I really got anything much out of it at all. I think I actually saw that before I saw Blake 7 for the first time, so it wasn't, hey, that's Villa. Look, it's a bit bland and a bit sort of meh in places. There is, again, a bit of a that'll do type stuff, I think, to some of the direction. Probably the low point, I did put in the email, the low point, I think, is a bit in part 4, where the K9 prop clearly doesn't come on cue, and they're all walking around the set like whistling for K9, and you even get the bloke who's playing Mandrill involved.
I thought it would have been the Gatherer falling off the top all goody style.
Well,
you know, clearly a prop.
Yeah, as you said, well, I mentioned Michael Keating. It's also got PC Ventures from Heartbeat in it. So
Yes, yeah.
You're a Heartbeat fan. And Tom Nova Kelly, indeed, actually.
It does.
I find some makers quite boring, actually.
Yeah,
and it's
but
more, I think maybe
I suspect it's possibly one that hasn't aged that well.
Yeah.
Richard, you gave the same grade as I did to Underworld.
Yes, which was F for fail.
Yes.
That's still too high, for Chunderworld.
Look, I remember I probably enjoyed it when I first saw it as a kid, when I was about 10, I think, when the ABC showed it. I do vaguely remember enjoying it then, but watching it back, and it is the one I did rewatch actually after listening to your podcast.
Were you sober?
Oh man, it's
bad.
It's not even that it's bad; it's just boring.
It's
actually
terrible.
is the problem. It's
Yeah.
not even that it's bad.
It's the
It's probably a bit too ambitious. Look, I think Bob Baker and Dave Martin strike again. It's a bit too ambitious. It is kind of that's good enough again, but. Yeah, as I said, I actually was more just that I was bored watching it. Look, once you sort of know a little bit more about Alan Lake, there's maybe a few more things you can take out of it. And look, it had Norman Tipton in it, who was in an episode of Blake 7.
You're really clutching at straws
Yeah,
here.
I am.
I mean,
the one thing I did mean to do, just as an aside, there is that story that the CSO apparently looks better if you watch it in black and white, and I didn't try that, so... I might have
We'll have to watch it again.
No.
No. I mean, the thing I don't understand about Underworld is that people bag on about Horns and Norman being the worst Tom Baker. Underworld, for me, is the worst Tom Baker story. Again, in fact, probably the worst story of the 70s.
I watched 9-1 when I got my season 17 box set, so I have watched it not all that long ago.
This is entertaining.
And look, it is. It's actually, I suspect it's one more that's, because you're a fan and you know what's coming, I think, but there is some really fun stuff in 9-1.
There is.
You can have fun with 9-1.
But you can't have fun with Underworld unless you're clinically insane.
And finally, Invasion of Time, you gave us C-.
Yes, I did. Yeah, again, I don't think this was one I got a lot out of when I first saw it as a kid, because I think the first couple of episodes of the Doctors being all weird probably went over my head a bit.
Yeah.
But look, it did have that cliffhanger in it, because that was before I knew that there was 2 more episodes, and there was 26 episodes in a season or anything, and I remember thinking, oh wow.
So let's all do it. At last, the future of Gallifrey is assured. What are you looking at?
My goodness. Watching it now, look, it's cheap, it's too long, look, the Vardens are just rubbish.
You're not selling it, mate.
No, I'm not, and look, it was written in a hurry, and I know there was industrial action and stuff, but...
It's not great.
It's not. The Sontarans could be any generic villain.
Yeah.
Look, against that, Milton Johns is great.
He is?
Yes,
he is great
good, yeah.
as Kellner.
Yeah.
And look, I really like Rodan as well. And it's got Max Faulkner and Tom Kelly again.
Oh, yeah.
Look, it's nowhere near as good an end of the season as Seeds of Doom or the Talons of Weng Chiang.
No.
Or Revenge of the Cybermen.
Yes. And I did actually also add a fun fact about for season 15.
Yes, I was going to ask you to read out your fun fact, please.
Yes, my fun fact for season 15. For Australian Doctor Who fans, this is the first time the ABC paired Doctor Who with the Goodies.
Ah.
And which went on for best part of the next 10 years. Yeah, the Goodies episodes they paired it with, it was the debut of season 6
Yep.
here in Australia, which kicked off with Lips or Almighty Cod.
There you go. And the programmer who came up with that schedule was knighted. It was maybe about 5 years ago, given an OBE for their services to children entertainment and nostalgia.
Well, it was certainly better than the Ghost and Mrs. Muir or Gentle Ben, which I think was the stuff they had on the previous year.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So, thank you for that email, Richard, or conversation as we have had it. A couple more, and we'll just pass these around. I'll kick off first with one from Adrian Sturrock, who's another listener here in Australia.
Hello, Adrian.
Hi, Rob and Dave, or in this case, Richard, Mark and Dave. Firstly, I'd like to wish you both a Happy New Year and all the best for 2023. I recently listened to your top 5 worst classic stories list makers episode and would like to share a few thoughts. Let me start by noting that 3 of my 5 worst classic stories made at least one of your lists. However, I'm pretty surprised that what I believe to be the worst ever Doctor Who story didn't rate a mention at all. That story is timeless.
Oh, no.
Choose your next words very carefully.
Well, he's got the right next word, which is despite Paul Darrow. That story is Timelash, which, despite Paul Darrow's hilarious scenery-chewing Richard III performance, is just terrible. It features possibly the worst overall guest cast in Who history and very little acting on display, while the actress playing Vina is shooting for Jenny Laird levels of bad acting. I'll interrupt there and say, although she is bad, the worst is that deputy, I have been loyal to you.
Oh, Jenny Tomlinson, what it was, yeah.
My other bottom 5 story, which didn't make either of your lists, is Attack of the Cybermen. I realise that this story won't make many people's worst 5 classic stories list, and 30 years ago I thought it was a decent story, but I now dislike it more every time I see it. It just seems to be an incoherent mess with unlikable characters, bogged down by pointless continuity, and made even worse by Malcolm Clarke's music. I'd also like to give a bouquet to Rob for listing The Underwater Menace and his 5 worst stories. This story is dire, but somehow seems to slip under the radar when fans list out their worst stories. In my opinion, it is clearly the worst story of the 1960s. Its definitive scene is the one in episode 3, where the Doctor is trying to hide from the chasing guards and does so by sitting down in clear view in the middle of a market with a pair of sunglasses on, because nothing says blend into the background to avoid detection like wearing a pair of sunnies in an underground kingdom which has probably never seen a pair of sunglasses before. I imagine director Julia Smith has long lost control of things by the time the 3rd episode was filmed. Having given this bouquet to Rob, I also need to give him a brickbat for including The Leisure Hive on his worst stories list. I love The Leisure Hive. It is one of my Doctor Who guilty pleasures. It is a story that feels fresh and vibrant and represents a new lease of life for the show. The Leisure Hive would probably feature in my top 5 lists for both Best Directed Story and Best Score. Yes, the story is a bit silly in places, Tom's performance is certainly subdued, and the episodes are pretty short. But Lovett Bickford's direction is striking.
Yes.
Such as when the camera appears to move from the outside of the hive through the outer walls and into the hive in an unbroken shot.
Yeah.
The story is probably guilty of style over substance, but hey, what style? Anyway, thanks for keeping us entertained through 2022, and I look forward to seeing what content you put out in 2023. Regards, Adrian Sturrock.
Great letter, Adrian. Leisure Hive, totally agree with in terms of the directional touches on flourishes that Lovett Bickford did. It's a shame that he went over budget, was never asked back to the program again, because again they needed more Lovetts in there as opposed to your Moffats, Peter Moffats as it were. Underwater Menace is entertaining. If you want it, boring for me, one of the worst 60s serials for me is probably the Space Museum. At least nothing really happens, really. I mean, at least was Trout wearing a pair of sunglasses is quite effective.
Well, I did my worst list, so there you go.
Oh, you can't say anymore, can you? You've done it. You've locked yours in.
I've locked mine in.
Okay, right. Excellent. And I've got one here from David Beardsley in Santa Cruz, California. Hi, guys. I've recently discovered your podcast and wanted to let you know how much I've been enjoying it. With so many other podcasts simply reviewing episodes or covering production facts that long-time fans mostly know, I find the topic-based format of your show very refreshing, and your intelligent and articulate discussions are a delight to listen to. The only problem is I've now listened to all your old episodes and have to wait for new ones.
There's a podcast called 42 to Doomsday you could drift over and have a look at.
You could. Hint, hint. I especially enjoyed the List Makers episodes. I wanted to throw out an idea for the Hat of Rassilon that it always makes me think for an interesting discussion. Top 5 lost episodes that you would like to see recovered. For me, it would be Dalek Master Plan Part 7 and 12, The Massacre Part 4, Power of the Daleks Part 1, and Evil of the Daleks Part 7. Honourable mention, all 3 episodes of The Celestial Toymaker, and while Marco Polo is my favourite incomplete story, I'd rather it be completely lost and live in my imagination than have a couple of episodes found. Keep up the great work and looking forward to many more interesting topics in 2023. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much for that email. Given that we will do that as a topic at some point, I won't spoil and give my thoughts, but any from you guys?
I'd certainly agree with Power 1, and if I was picking probably one episode that was coming back, it probably would be Part 1 of Power.
I'm going to pick 5 like he has. So I'm going to go Power 1, obviously. 10th Planet Part 4, just to finish that off, as it were. I'd love to see an episode of Fury from the Deep, probably Part 6. Yep. And I'd like to see an episode of the Highlanders as well. Probably Part 3.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, I've gone Power 1. I'd also probably agree with Evil 7.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's a good one. Oh, yeah.
Yes. I'd like to see an episode probably from the Mythmakers.
Oh, yeah.
Probably something with the horse, so probably part 4. What else would I go with? Yeah, the massacre. I'd actually really like to see something from maybe the Savages or the Smugglers, like the forgotten stories that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
I think.
Yep.
But let's face it, we're Doctor Who fans. Anything missing would be good.
Anything back would be lovely, wouldn't it? Especially for the 60th anniversary.
Indeed.
Our 4th email, Richard.
This is from Alex Wilcock. Hi guys, really enjoyed The List Makers Best Regenerations, and unsurprisingly I had some snaps. But one really major remission. I'm with Dave for the top spot. Logopolis was my first, and it's still the most moving and magical. Our wedding reading ended with a variation on it.
Wow.
Wow. I definitely have the K's Sergeant Pepper regeneration somewhere in my 5 as well, not least for inspiring the new Who style. But would you really say it's the first on his own with so many friends circling? Bit of a smack in the chops, asking why he didn't take the bat's milk immediately though. All those years and I'd have never thought of that. Okay, how's this? It's because he doesn't know what effect it'll have. He's not running just to survive the poison, but everywhere's exploding around them, and if the cure knocks him out or gives him convulsions, he'll go up in flames. It's not a bad point.
That's a very good point, yeah.
Particularly if you saw part 4 of the Australian version, where suddenly people just burst into a room and suddenly everything's just on fire.
And then the end credits roll.
If it gives Perry convulsions, he won't be able to carry her. Peter complains enough about that as it is.
Yes.
What if it triggers a regeneration? He might sleep for a week or lose his memory. So getting to the TARDIS to administer it safely makes sense until, whoops, Butterfingers.
Yeah.
Your rewrite of I don't want to go as resisting regeneration, and that's why he dashes off to see everyone, is inspired though. And the one that got away? Characterisation before and after the regeneration, the explosive moment itself, the sheer build-up and drama, by far the greatest of the new Who regenerations, and the only one that challenges Logopolis for how many times I've watched it, and still get blown away every time. If the Doctor can be young and strong, and then so can I. Utopia is the stunning regeneration episode you both missed. The hat never said the word Doctor.
Very, very good point.
Love
Good
and liberty,
point.
Alex.
Good point. Yeah.
No, look, that is an excellent moment. I remember being just blown off the screen by the end of Utopia, and I think we all were at the time.
Yeah. That was very, very good.
I remember more being disappointed, sort of like, why couldn't you have just let this bloke be the master for an episode or two?
Or for the next, 5 years. Although he is meeting Dorian Gray apparently on the Big Finish audio coming soon, so I can't wait for that one. I must admit though, the problem with this regeneration, I mean, actually I did like the Jodie one because it's fairly understated compared to the big sort of explosions of castrati and everything's been happening the last couple of years. But I really do miss those, like the Pertwee one, that subtle fade in, and even the Davison one, where it's there has a drama there to build up to it, where now it just seems to be it's like Marvel CGI fests, aren't they, really?
Well,
and it's so overblown, and David Tennant dying for 20 minutes, just
kind of
bugger off and
well,
go.
we did say in the Christmas special, when Peter Capaldi was giving his speech, it was just like, just get on with it.
Die, you bugger, die. Yeah.
Well, Pertwee, I think, was the first one I saw, because that would have been the repeats.
Yeah.
And I think that's really...
Yeah.
No, fair enough. And we have one quick one here to round out our letters from Loza, who says, guys, love your show. I'm a Pommy living in Oz, so it's nice to see you guys love Doctor Who as much as we do. I've got a great subject for your list makers. Which Doctors would you most like to travel with and why? You know it's a good one. Keep up the good work, Loza. Well, once again, that'll go into our How to Rassilon, so it'll be a topic I'll comment on the next few months. But, guys, just a one pick from you. Which Doctor would you travel with and why?
Sylvester McCoy. I reckon the 7th Doctor.
Why?
Keep you entertained, or...
Yeah, because I play the guitar and he can play the spoons.
Hey! You could have a jam session.
You can have a jam session
with Capaldi, though.
Yeah, but you start doing... Yeah. No, that's a very good question, actually.
That is a very good question.
Troughton. I reckon Patrick, the 2nd Doctor, because it'd be a lot of fun. But also, he'd be a bit of emotional support as well when you're talking about your family that you miss. Yeah, I reckon the 2nd Doctor is pretty well-rounded. Yeah, a fun uncle. Where Tom Baker... The 4th Doctor be too moody sometimes. Like, you don't know what day you're going to get him.
I was going to say, I don't think you want to be moody. Colin, I think he would wear you down after a while, I suspect.
And strangle you.
Trying to strangle you. He got his way.
Well, McGann, actually, the 8th Doctor would be pretty chill too.
He would be pretty good, actually. Yeah, look, he'd be pretty good.
The 10th would probably punch him in the face because he's too smug. No, I think definitely the 2nd...
You'd wind up hating him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2nd Doctor.
2nd Doctor for you. I'm going to go with... I'm going to go with Pertwee.
Oh.
Yeah, because I think you could do a lot of philosophising and whatever with Pertwee. Plus, because he doesn't really have control over the TARDIS, you know at least you'll come home at the end of the day when you go off-world.
Yes.
You'll get to come home at the end of the adventures.
And you might get to go to Metabilla 3.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. With John Pertwee, not Tim Trelaw, of course.
Or he might actually take you to the planet of Florana. Or
Yeah, that's Lorana.
I must admit, as I was thinking about that, Richard, just because we were recording some Blake 7 Spacefall before
Yes.
this, and I was thinking about a line from Blake 7 that the 6th Doctor could use to the 5th about travelling with him. Why not? I don't get them killed.
But then the 5th Doctor said, yes, but at least I wasn't sacked.
Hey!
Well, thank
That'll
you.
be out of the edit.
Well, thank you to everybody who wrote in. As always, please keep your comments coming. Engage with us on Twitter, on Facebook, as long as they're still here. And and please do keep writing in. Look, we've got some good topics there for our list makers in the future. Guys, thank you once again for coming along. I will say that I did get to guest in your podcast, Mark, on the 42 to Doomsday Christmas episode, which came out a few weeks ago.
Yes, it was. Richard and Dave was on that episode. Came out Christmas Eve, which is now a long distant memory. So lots of topics in there, lots of fun, lots of banter, lots of inappropriate content. So it was all good. No, we had a good time with that one. So yes, if you haven't checked that out, please check it out.
Yep, please do check out 42 to Doomsday. They're lots of fun, and I've known you guys for... Well,
A long time, Dave.
I can remember when that was just a glint in your eye.
It was actually. Remember? Yeah. 10 years this year.
And Richard, where can we find you?
At the docks, usually.
Well, other than here, I'm also on the 42 to Doomsday
You are?
Christmas episode, but of course, primarily Spacefall.
Yes.
A Blake 7 podcast.
Yes.
We've recently just released our discussion on Volcano
Excellent.
with Michael Goff, and just before recording this, we did our discussion on the Harvest of Kairos.
Yes, so...
That was a bit of a slog for you boys. I was actually going to take a picture of you guys actually recording that and I go, should I post it on Twitter? So these guys,
We were just put off by Jarvik's inherent manliness.
Yes.
No, we had a lot to say on the Harvest of Kairos,
did,
so that
yes.
will be out very soon. And of course, the three of us, plus your co-host on 42 Doomsday, the other Rob,
Yes.
all were in the Goodies Pirate podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
So if ever you felt the need to do the great journey through the goodies,
Yes.
our podcast is there, all complete, waiting for you.
Absolutely.
But look, thank you once again. It's been fun. It's always good to do these summer episodes.
It is. Thank you
I'm
very
sure
much.
we'll be back again at some point soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dave, for having us. It was great fun. Thank you.
Until then, I've been Dave,
I'm Richard.
And I'm Mark.
and we'll speak again soon.
Whee!
You've been listening to
The Doctor Who Show with Rob and Dave.
Find us online by searching for.
The Doctor Who Show.
We also love it when you write in. Drop us a line anytime at hello@thedwshow.net.